We also just heard in the last few minutes that the CEO of Juul was stepping down and that he would be replaced by someone from Altria. What do you make of that move? What does that tell you if you try and read the tea leaves?
Well, look, I think a lot of the traditional tobacco companies did make bets on the non-combustibles, the so-called modified risk products, and I think that there still is a place for these products to potentially help currently addicted adult smokers transition off tobacco and do it with forms of nicotine delivery that are less risky. So Altria obviously made a big bet on this. I'm sure they're still, in some respects, committed to that bet. Juul hasn't managed this product well in the marketplace. They really created this teen epidemic. If you ask kids what they use, they don't say I vape, they say I Juul. And for the first time in the 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey, we're now going to have a point estimate on what percentage of American youth who vape are using Juul, because we specifically put in that survey a question that asks, do you use Juul? So for a long time, we didn't know how many kids were using Juul. Now the FDA has that data right now. They haven't released it. They're probably still scrubbing it to make sure the number's accurate. But they know how many kids are using Juul. And the commissioner's testifying today. He may well get asked that question by Congress. But they probably have that data. I mean, I don't know for certain, but they probably have that data right now. My guess is it's going to be a very high percentage of kids who are vaping products are using the Juul product.
Scott, let me go back to your role as a former regulator, someone who has just stepped out of this administration. It seems to me that we're reaching some sort of an inflection point, and the states are now trying to get more active regulating. The government, the federal government, is trying to get more active regulating. I'm not just talking about when it comes to e-cigarettes and vaping and some of these other issues that are out there. There's this entire culture of upstarts that Wall Street's been celebrating for the last decade or longer. Companies that were out there to disrupt. You can look at an Uber, you can look at an Airbnb, you can look at any of these companies, WeWork, where the culture was move fast and break things, don't worry about the regulators, we'll worry about that later. A lot of it seems to be coming home to roost, and there is a little bit of a pendulum swing back where regulators are coming back fast and furious. They're looking at all the big tech companies, they're looking at anybody and everybody where their industry has kind of gotten ahead of the regulations. Do you think that this is a bigger issue? Kind of a pendulum moment?
Well, I don't think Juul realized that they're a tobacco company operating in a highly regulated space when they started life as a Silicon Valley startup. But we're seeing a lot of investment money get into this space very quickly. I think one of the things that happened this summer was we saw a lot of capital come into the space of selling hardware for vaporizing CBD. Companies like Pax Labs and Green Lane raised money, did IPOs this summer, put the money behind big marketing campaigns and really popularize the vaping of CBD. And I believe some of these, or a lot of these acute lung injuries, are going to be CBD and THC-based products. And you've got to look back at what these companies did to sell the hardware. They didn't sell the oils, but they sold the hardware and popularized the activity. And they drove a lot of that, if not a lot of that use of CBD, particularly by kids. It's very difficult right now because there's different problems. There's the teen use of e-cigarettes, and then there's these acute lung injuries. And if we conflate the two and we pull the legally sold e-cigarette products off the market, it's going to increase the market for the illegal products. And if it's the illegal products causing the acute lung injuries, we better be ready to enforce against those illegal products. Right now, FDA, my guess is they probably have 15 or 20 field force operators out there policing against the illegal products. So if Congress wants to pull the legal products off the market, they better give FDA, I believe, more money to police the market for the illegal products.
Another headline just coming from Juul. Juul Labs says it's going to restrict product-related advertising and will not lobby the administration on draft guidance. So I guess the debate had been there whether they were going to go on the attack and go on the offensive position on this, or whether the defensive position. And
well, I wish they said they weren't going to lobby the administration 2 years ago. It would have saved me a lot of time.
What do you think happens next?
Well, again, I think that it's very important for people in this space to make distinctions between these different problems, and they're interrelated. The solutions might cross over, but I think you're seeing a lot of conflating of this in the marketplace right now. And we'll hear from the FDA Commissioner today on the agency's view. I think the agency historically has taken the view that these products might have some redeeming public health value if they can help currently addicted adult smokers get off of tobacco. But I think we've gotten so far down the field of the dangers from these products, whether it's teen addiction to nicotine, to the legally sold products, or these acute lung injuries from what are probably illegal and maybe some legally sold and legally made products as well, that this opportunity may not be redeemable.
Doctor, could you ever see a moment where a Juul-like product is like a nicotine patch Meaning,
yes, yes.
That's the way it's marketed. That's the way it's sold. That's the way it's regulated.
Yes, I mean, I wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal about 2 months ago advocating that these products be brought through the over-the-counter pathway. That pathway is open to these products. I mean, the challenge for them, though, is they'd have to do what we call a two-species animal tox study. They would have to do a study to demonstrate that they don't cause toxicological issues and damage to the lung. And I don't think that study is going to be clean. I think these products do cause chronic lung injury. The standard, though, is to equate them against tobacco. And if they can legitimately help a currently addicted adult smoker fully quit combustible tobacco, even if they do cause some long-term lung injury, it's probably going to be less lung injury than from smoking. And so they are a modified risk product. They reduce harm. But that's what you'd have to demonstrate through the OTC pathway. And that could be a very expensive study to do. That said, I think if a company came through that pathway, I think they could potentially have a monopoly on this market, especially as the vaping products sold as tobacco products start to be pulled off the market, which is what we're seeing right now.
Scott, I want to thank you very much for your time today. Again, Dr. Scott Gottlieb just left the head of the FDA as the head of the FDA earlier this year. And he was the one who was really leading the charge against Juul being marketed to teens and to children. We're just seeing this all kind of come home to roost with Juul's CEO announcing that he'd be stepping down today and would be replaced by someone coming from Altria, which has taken out a 35% ownership stake in Juul for $12.8 billion in December of last year. Scott, thank you again.
Thanks a lot.